Hi everyone, my name is Megan Grassell. I am 19 years old. I'm from Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and as she just mentioned, I am the founder and CEO of a company that I started called Yellowberry. I started Yellowberry when I took my younger sister shopping to buy her very first bras. She was 13 at the time and I was 17. I was a junior in high school, and we went to the mall and we went to all of these different stores, and I remember just being so appalled at all of the super sexualized padded push-up options that were not only available for May Margaret but were specifically marketed to girls her age. And I have this vivid memory of May Margaret walking out of the dressing room in sort of this like leopard print push-up bra, and I just wanted to cover her up, and I was like, oh my god, you're my baby sister, you can't wear that. And so sort of from that experience, I saw something that was sort of a gap in the marketplace, and I was like, girls need to have another option, sort of just an alternative bra that's made specifically for them to fit them in their growing bodies. And I was like, you know what, if no one else is going to make bras for girls, then I'm going to find a way to do it myself. So this was an idea that I had that I couldn't stop thinking about. And so having absolutely no experience or really an idea of where to start, I reached out to some people in my town that I thought would know something about, manufacturing or PR or marketing or branding. Not that I really even knew what those things meant. But I, called some people and thought, if you have 20 minutes for coffee, could I take you out and just ask you some questions and try to learn from you? Because I tried to be the first person to say, I don't know what I'm doing, but I would love to hear from you. And it became very clear to me that everyone that I went to and spoke to saw me as just sort of a sweet 17-year-old girl who had a nice idea, but no one really took me seriously. And I met with this one woman in particular, and I was sitting across the table from her, and I presented her with my idea and sort of this whole list of things that I wanted to do, and some sketches of some bras, and she put her hands on mine, and she was like, I think you should probably finish high school before you start going about trying to revolutionize any type of bra industry. I was like, are you kidding me? I just believed so wholeheartedly in my idea, and I just couldn't understand why she didn't see what I saw. And so I was so frustrated and I was so angry, and I was like, you know what, you're wrong. I have an idea and I'm gonna keep going after this. So I went to Google and I Googled things like how to make a bra, how can I source different manufacturers and fabrics, and again, I didn't really know what I was doing. And so I ended up with 10 different colors of fabrics that ended up being sailboat fabrics that you put on a boat. And so I took them in a big basket and then with a sketch of a bra on yellow lined paper to a seamstress in Jackson, and I said, can you make a bra for me? And she was like, okay, do you have a pattern? And I was like, well, what's a pattern? I don't know. And so I worked with her sort of through this painstakingly slow process to get to a point where I finally had a bra that I could make, many of. But at this point, it was sourcing the actual fabrics in bulk and finding a manufacturer and all of the shipping and the packaging and all of the logistical things. It was kind of one of those moments where, do you ever feel like you're so overwhelmed that you kind of just want to curl up into a ball and let the world just go over your head until it passes by? That was what I was feeling throughout so much of this. But I had to remember the end goal was that I wanted to make a bra for a young woman to wear that sort of stood for something that was more than a bra. So I finally received my first finished products in a big brown box at my doorstep in January of 2014, about a little less than a year after sort of the initial idea. And I was so excited, and I ran into my living room and I put them up on my website, and I was like, this is going to be amazing, it'll be wonderful. And 30 seconds later there was a sale, and so I looked online at my order fulfillment software, and it was my dad sitting in the living room who bought my first bra for me. And I think in the first couple of months, I sold maybe 5 products to my dad, mom, sister, grandmother, brother. And again, it was frustrating because I was like, I feel like this is such a good idea. Why don't people understand Yellowberry? And so, a little bit more time went by, and I got to a point where I needed to raise some money. And my parents were like, Megan, we love you, but you're on your own. So I looked at Kickstarter as a crowdfunding platform that not only could I raise money, but I could also, it was an opportunity to test the marketplace to see if people did actually care about bras for girls. So I launched my Kickstarter campaign in March of 2013, and again, the first couple of days, nothing really happened. And I was even embarrassed to go to school because there were some kids in my high school that were just kind of mean to me about this like stupid bra idea that was never gonna go anywhere, and it was really dumb, and I was like, oh, what am I doing? You know, I'm only 18 years old, I'm trying to navigate pre-calculus and US history, like what do I know? And then it was kind of like, no, this is important. And so I reached out to some people that I thought would be interested in, girl empowerment, tween fashion kind of areas, Girl Up actually being one of those organizations. And a couple of them picked up my story and wrote up my Kickstarter campaign. And then overnight, I raised $25,000 on Kickstarter campaign. I had all of these different kind of cheerleaders of the company that they resonated with the story and they really understood where I was coming from. And it was like, finally, people get what I'm trying to tell them. And so since then, Yellowberry has grown quite a bit. The first big point was when we moved into an office space out of my living room, which was last summer. We just celebrated kind of like the year anniversary of that, which was really exciting. My mom became my partner, and so together we worked really hard to, sort of build the infrastructure of the company and sort of where we wanted to take it, building out the assortment of the actual products and bras that we were making for girls, as well as building a team of people that were also really excited and passionate about bras for girls that represent sort of this bigger idea that, you shouldn't have to feel rushed to grow up too fast or feel pressured to look, dress, or feel a certain way. You just want to be really comfortable in your own skin. So sort of throughout this Yellowberry journey, I've learned so much, I think, about myself and sort of just in reflection about what it's taken to come this far. I learned the importance of having a really clear vision and something that has sort of, for me, remained the same since day one, which, as I'll say again, to make a bra for a girl that stands for something more. I learned the importance of passion and how lucky I feel to have fallen into something that I, for lack of a better word, I'm even obsessed with every day, that I love the work that I do with Yellowberry. And also the follow-through that I think also comes from being so excited and so passionate about something, but also being young and youthful, and something that I thought was going to be a challenge, not that it isn't, but it's one of the best things that I have going for me, because as a young girl, you come at a challenge or an opportunity with fresh eyes and sort of an unbiased opinion of how things are supposed to go, and so you find your way and you navigate through the waters to do it the best that you can, which is really exciting and it's really empowering. So throughout all of that as well, I learned how important it's been to believe in myself, because Yellowberry wouldn't exist if I didn't believe and sort of listen to my gut throughout the way, which has been pretty incredible. And sort of that's why I'm standing here today. So thank you very much.
Hi everyone, my name's Celia. I'm a teen advisor for Girl Up this year. I'm going to be a junior in high school, and I'm from right outside of Chicago. And so I'm here today to talk about 5 things that I wish people had told me when I was starting my work in advocacy for Girl Up and kind of like starting this work in the teen activism space, which is growing so exponentially. We have things like social media, we have ways to talk to each other that we never had before, and it's so exciting to be kind of involved in this movement as it's growing so quickly. So here are just some best practices that I think could be helpful to anybody in this room who wants to pursue Girl Up as they return home, which I think is the reason we're all here. So hopefully it's applicable to everyone. So the first thing that I've learned is to have faith in people. It is so easy to feel like you're the only one in your club who, wants to do this amount of fundraising. It's so easy to say, I'm the only one in my school who thinks about gender equality on a daily basis, and it's so hard to feel like you're alone in that. But the thing is, that kid in your calculus class who said that they couldn't come to your next meeting might be like a 3-sport varsity athlete, or your friend who said they just couldn't participate in a fundraiser, or just wouldn't give you the time of day to talk about your cause, might be having problems at school. And it's so important to acknowledge that everybody is coming from different places when you're doing this kind of work. But I think I've also discovered that people are truly compassionate at heart, and it doesn't always feel like it, but it's so true. And I think that it's just a matter of educating people and telling them about your cause, and then seeing how they can can fit into the equation after. Saying like, if you can't come to every club meeting, at least like sit down, talk with me, maybe come to an event, and we'll like see how things work. Or like even just like be nice to people. If it's just like one like hi in the hallway, or one like I wish you could, you know, like come to this meeting or come to this event, like everything goes a far way. 2 is that making a difference takes a lot of hard work, and it looks so easy. It is so easy to look at like, I don't know, the SoCal Coalition and be like, wow, 60 clubs, what an empire. I see you, Fidelity Palmer, I see you. But it's so hard to look at that and see that, the final product, without looking at all the hard work that went into it. There's a lot of well-crafted text messages and a lot of like self-promotional Facebook posts that like go into recruiting for a club, and a lot of time and energy that go into those things. And I think it's also important to remember that when you're doing all this hard work and you're putting in the elbow grease, etc., that you are going somewhere and that you will get there. And even if it's not right now, and even if it's not tomorrow, that it will add up. And it's like a story I like to tell. Before I even knew about Girl Up, when I was like in 8th grade, I was very into fundraising for UNICEF. And so I thought I was like, okay, like this is like my thing. Like I'm the only kid in school who like cares about this kind of thing, and I'm gonna like commit to it. So I would go and I would bake, I'm an awful baker. I would bake chocolate chip cookies that were like very bad and like tasted like dust, and take them to like my Walgreens in like my little suburb and like sit out there and have a bake sale every single Saturday. And I would never make more than $50, but I did end up raising like a few thousand over the course of an entire school year making really bad chocolate chip cookies. So it's more like this accumulated effort does make a difference. And I also learned a lot of things. I learned that you have to like call the person at Walgreens before you have a big sale, because like sometimes they don't like it when you do that, but most of the time they're pretty cool with it. So like, you know, you just learn as you go and you fake it until you make it. Something else that's relevant to that story, and maybe the bigger impact I ended up making through all those really awful bake sales, was that someone in my town who was a regional board member for UNICEF ended up like seeing me like sadly sitting there by myself with my awful cookies on the sidewalk, and started talking to me, and realized that I was also very passionate about that cause. And I ended up being able to like come speak at one of their meetings, and then like later ended up becoming a UNICEF Young Ambassador because of all of, like the random stuff I was doing as an 8th grader, which is really, really cool, and like a way bigger opportunity than I thought I would amount to. So this kind of leads me to my next thing, which is that it takes a lot of luck. So I am extremely fortunate to live in a community where there happened to be a UNICEF board member. Like that just sometimes happens. Sometimes the numbers just crunch right. Sometimes you meet the right person at the right meeting at the right time, and like cool things happen. And they don't always come where you're expecting them to. And they definitely don't happen a lot. But unless you put in the hard work to get there, if I hadn't sat there every weekend, I don't know if I would have randomly met a UNICEF board member. So hard work is kind of the prerequisite, I guess, to being able to like make the big differences and see the tangible effects that you might want to see. I have to turn my note card because it's upside down. 4 is that you have to take risks. It's so scary to email people. And like even if it's not even face to face, it is so scary to like talk to people. Don't be scared to do those things. I don't care what their position is. I don't care if they're a CEO. I don't care if they're like big and professional and scary. The worst they can do is like say no or like not email you back, and that's not going to be the end of the world. It's so important to get on the phone and talk with people. Like that's like the biggest thing I've learned this year. It expedites communication. You are more creative over the phone. Things flow more naturally. You can make a better connection, and you make a better lasting impression if you talk to people on the phone, which is so scary to do, but you have to take risks and be able to do that, and you have to be able to like go up to a speaker that you think is really cool and like shake their hand, and it only takes 5 minutes, and like worst case scenario you don't follow up, and like that's not the end of the world. But it's so useful to just don't be scared to talk to people. People don't bite. People are good at heart. That was the first thing I talked about. Okay, 5 is that you have to take care of yourself. You cannot make a difference and care for other people unless you're in a good position to do that yourself. You have to make you a priority. And that sounds like super cheesy, but like I promise it's true. If you're like having mental breakdowns and like if you're crying in math class, you're doing something wrong. And like it like happens, and like obviously like if you are in school you have other priorities, but if you put so much pressure on yourself that you can't handle it, then you need to like go eat some ice cream and like watch a Taylor Swift video like we did during the Liz Plank workshop. If anyone was there, it was great. So yeah, you need to like make yourself a priority. You matter. Your self-care matters. and you need to make that a priority. So thank you so much for having me speak. Thanks to Girl Up for being amazing, as always, and having me speak. I really appreciate it, and you are all very powerful agents of change. You just need to keep yourself, be in check with yourself, and keep going. Thank you.
Okay, hi all. So I'm Sarah Mesbah and I'm 21. I just finished my 4th year of pharmacy school and I'm from Egypt. So basically today I'm going to be talking about my own personal development journey and a few things I've learned along the way. So growing up, my family moved around a lot and I ended up attending 15 different schools. And the one common thing between all these schools is that I never fit in. I was constantly told I couldn't do many things, mainly because I was a girl. And to my surprise, everyone around me was fine with it. When I was in 3rd grade, I was told I can't be the main character in the school play because I was a girl. And the main character was a fish. And then in 5th grade, I was told I can't learn how to ride a bike because it was so unladylike. And in 7th grade, when I told my teacher I wanted to be an astronaut, she was like, don't let anyone hear you say that. You wouldn't really get married later on. I was like, where's the connection? So basically, I was told that I can't dream big, I can't do many things because I was a girl. And after a while, it becomes really, really hard to fight all these rules. And all I wanted was to be normal and have friends. So I thought, everyone looks happy following the rules, and maybe I will too. So I started changing. I began to adapt and conform, and I started changing the way I talked, the way I dressed. I hid my real opinions, and I thought, maybe I'll fit in now. And with every new school, it had new rules, so I had to follow them, and I kept changing more and more. And by the end of my 12 year of education, I had changed so much that I completely lost sight of who I was and what I wanted to do. And then the big decision came when I had to decide what college I wanted to attend, and I had no idea. I've been living my whole life doing what people were telling me, and this is a pretty big decision. And I just told my parents to choose whichever they liked. I had an option of about 4 colleges, and they went with pharmacy, so that's what I'm doing now, but it wasn't really my first choice. Then things started to change when the Egyptian revolution occurred. I remember sitting there watching TV and seeing all these young people my age, fighting, standing up and dying for things they really dreamed of. They were dying for a future of a better country, and I thought there is nothing, absolutely nothing out there that I'm that passionate about. Nothing I'd stand up and fight for like that, and that just seemed wrong. I decided to stop letting people dictate my life for me and to just try something new, so I learned how to ride a bike. It was extremely liberating and pretty painful for the first few weeks because of all the falls and everything. And then over the next few months, I kept trying new things. I tried writing, I tried cooking and baking, and some things I really liked and I still do. Others were not for me, but I was discovering myself and I loved it. And at that time, my mother was working on setting up small businesses for women to provide them with a stable source of income. And she asked me if I'd like to accompany her on one of these visits to these women, and I thought, why not? So I go with her on these visits, and I was appalled at the circumstances these women lived in. There were girls as young as 12 and 15 years old who juggled 2 jobs beside their education just to be able to support their families. And one thing that really resonated with me was how every time we entered a house, and then I would ask the woman, how are you? And she says, Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah is an Arabic phrase that means I thank God for everything I have. And that kept repeating with every new house we entered. And I was like, what exactly are you thankful for? You have nothing. So I asked one of these women, why do you keep saying Alhamdulillah when things are pretty tough for you? And she says, I thank God for my health, I thank God for my family. I've got many things that I could thank God for. And that's when I realized that I've been making myself miserable. I've been turning a blind eye to all the blessings I have. So I return home that day and I write a list of everything I've been blessed with. And I realized that I've got a pretty good life and I could do something with it. That was the start of how I got into women empowerment and how I got really interested in it. So I started mentoring high school girls and trying to get them to understand all their options and what they have in life and what they could use to move forward. And one day I was surfing the internet and then I came across a link to a summit called Girls 20 Summit. So I click on the link and there's 1 hour before the deadline and I think, okay, I might just as well apply. So I apply and to my surprise, I get accepted. And I was pretty excited about the summit because, well, it's Australia and, it's always been my dream to go to Australia. And I didn't realize how monumental and life-changing that summit was going to be. I met 24 of the most amazing and inspiring young ladies, and for the first time ever, I just fit in. We clicked immediately the minute we saw each other. These ladies became my support system. So one thing you really have to find is your support system. They might not be in your city or your country, but they're out there. Just find people who share the same passion you do, because you're going to need them when the going gets tough. They also taught me that it's not always important to be certain of where you're going in life. You can be uncertain, you can be scared, but as long as you're working to move forward and working towards reaching your goals, you're doing fine. Now, the most important thing I learned from these girls is that fitting in, that's not really as important as everyone makes it out to be. Be different, that's okay. Your difference is your strength. So if you just embrace your difference and your uniqueness, it will help you get to your goals that much faster. And one last important thing, never try to be someone you're not. It is so exhausting and so time-consuming that by the time you do it, you won't have any time or energy left to do what you really want to do. So that's basically what I learned so far, and I hope that it is helpful to you. And thank you very much.